All right. So far we've talked about factoring when a is 1, factoring when a is bigger than 1. Now we're going to talk about factoring when a is negative. And really, you don't factor if a is negative. You just don't do it. Okay? Don't factor if a is negative. This is what you do. If I see a negative here, I just pull out a negative 1 from the entire problem. So I just go negative 1 x squared plus 7x plus 12. Then I factor this, and I leave the negative 1 on the front.
Oh, okay.
So whatever's in the parentheses now is going to be something that you know how to factor. You could have to use Gary's terrific trick. You might not have to use Gary's terrific trick. It could be a difference of squares, right? But whatever technique you need to use to factor this, you use it. So in this case, how would I factor x squared plus 7x plus 12?
Find factors of 12 that add up to 7.
Factors of 12 that add up to 7, 4, and 3. So leaving that negative 1 out front, I just simply have x plus 4, x plus 3.
Oh, that's easy.
Right? Now, it doesn't matter whether this or this is negative. The only thing that I'm looking at in this first step is this. Right? The other two, they could both be positive.
And they just have to switch.
Right? So if I started with something like this, negative x squared plus x plus 20, even though I have a lot of positives, I'm still going to pull out a negative 1. Because this is negative. And this throws off all the factoring rules that you've learned. This negative here throws off all of those tricks.
Is there a way to factor?
None of them will work really. You technically can use Gary's terrific trick, but it gets really complicated to keep track of all the negatives. So it's just easier if you just say, pull out a negative 1, and then what would we have? This becomes positive, this becomes negative, and this becomes negative. Then I factor whatever's left in there. In this case, I would have negative 5 and a positive 4. And then I'm done. The other thing is, if you don't pull out the negative 1, one of your factors is going to have a negative in front of the x, which is just kind of weird, and typically you would then pull it out at the end. So it's just like, we just pull out negatives in front of x squared. It's just kind of how we do it. Okay? Yeah?
What happens to all the negatives? Do they just kind of go away?
Well, when I pull out a negative 1 here, I switch every sign. When I factor this, I just factor it how I would normally factor. So factors of negative 20 that add up to negative 1 are negative 5 and positive 4. Right? So then I've got my negative 5 and my positive 4. This step could be a lot longer if you had to use Gary's terrific trick. Right?
Yeah.
Like if this were like 20 and this were, I don't know, 36, right? You would spend a long time finding these factors. So this part might take longer than one step, but the only thing that's really new here is just pulling out the negative. All right.